Amid rising tensions between US and Iran over the Strait of Hormuz, deep cracks have emerged between the United States and the NATO members. While US plans to suspend Spain's NATO membership, French President Emmanuel Macron has questioned the reliability of the United States as an ally. Macron urged Europe to seize the moment and to assert strategic autonomy, emerging as a stronger, independent force on the global stage.
Président de la République.
This very moment could be the European moment, and for several reasons. Number one, everybody in this world have a clear view that this is a world of disorder. Second, everybody sees that the number one power, the US, could be an ally for certain countries, but this ally is not so much certain. And nobody is totally sure if this ally is reliable.
Well, Macron claims US, Russia, China are dead against Europe.
First, we should not underestimate that this is a unique moment where a US president, a Russian president, a Chinese president are dead against the Europeans. So this is the right moment for us. Wake up. And if...
There have been many wake-up calls, Mr. President.
Yeah, but I mean, if we don't believe in ourselves, no chance that the others will say suddenly they are super guys.
Macron's comments come amid increasing global instability due to West Asia war, as well as ongoing debates within Europe over defense spending and reliance on NATO. US President Donald Trump has criticized NATO over Iran war and has also questioned the purpose of US membership in the security alliance. Just recently, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez called Spain a reliable NATO member after a Reuters news agency report quoted a US official saying that the administration was now looking at ways to punish allies who stayed out of the war on Iran. Speaking to reporters during a visit to Cyprus for an EU summit, Sanchez said, and I quote him here, "Spain is a reliable member within NATO which is fulfilling all its obligations. As a result, I'm absolutely not worried." Meanwhile, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni insists that NATO would remain central to Europe's defense, but that European nations needed to play a bigger role in their own security.
I think NATO must remain united. I believe it is a source of strength in the current context. I think we need to work to strengthen it. I think we need to work to strengthen the European pillar of NATO, which is what we are obviously doing, given all the issues you are aware of regarding defense.
Now, as EU leaders called for a united front amid the ongoing West Asia crisis, US Secretary of War Pete Hegseth lashed out at Europe, arguing that the US should not shoulder the burden of protecting the Strait of Hormuz alone. He added that Europe and Asia should take a larger role.
We are not counting on Europe, but they need the Strait of Hormuz much more than we do, and might want to start doing less talking and having less fancy conferences in Europe and get in a boat.
Time and again, Trump has railed against NATO allies for refusing to help out more with the war in Iran, saying he viewed it as a betrayal. Some of the countries like France, Spain and Italy did not allow US military aircraft deployed for the war to overfly their territories or even to use bases. UK initially also refused, but later allowed US flights from its bases for defensive missions in the conflict. For more on this, Joachim Bitterlich, a former European diplomatic and security advisor to German Chancellor Helmut Kohl and former German ambassador to NATO. He joins us live from Paris. Welcome, sir, to WION World is One. I'd like to start with Pentagon memo. It reportedly explored ways to punish NATO allies that did not support the US during the Iran war. He says that NATO wasn't there when they needed them, and after several allies declined to back military operations linked to Iran, we know that NATO still has military capability, structure, and Article 5 commitments, but political trust is now under visible strain. So what does this tell us about where the alliance really stands today? Did this war actually create a crisis inside NATO or simply expose one?
Yes, but this is not new. We have a certain crisis within NATO. And the Americans have been asking us now for years. It's not only Trump. It has been Obama. It has been even Bush Jr. We have been asking for the Europeans taking over a stronger responsibility within NATO. And there has been no European answer till, let's say, till the beginning of the conflict over Ukraine. And till now, the Europeans have not the courage to tell to the Americans, please, dear friends, okay, let's look how we can fulfill such a new responsibility in future, and we will renegotiate to a certain extent the NATO conditions. This is a lack of courage of the Europeans up till now. But please, on the other hand, please be aware, in the European mind, the Strait of Hormuz is of worldwide importance, more of importance for you people in Asia, India, Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, Indonesia, than for the Europeans. The whole European economy is only depending by, let's say, by 10%, 15% from support via the Strait of Hormuz. For us, the Strait of Hormuz is not of vital interest, if you want. And the Americans have gone towards that conflict without consulting their European allies. They should have done so, at least talking to the most important Europeans. They have not done so. On the other hand, it's of our vital interest too, of the Europeans, that the Strait of Hormuz is open and that trade at worldwide level is working. And therefore, we are witnessing today a strange new form, what I call of information policy of some sides, especially from the Americans, but at the same time from the Iranians and others. And let's remain calm. Let's look at the future. NATO has to be reviewed. Yes, it's right. But this does not need in any way, let's say, to stop the classical relationship between the Europeans and the Americans.
Mr. Vitalik, I'd like to stick to the Pentagon email. It has flagged plan to target uncooperative allies like Spain and even suspend it from NATO. Spain says it remains a reliable NATO member and is fulfilling all its obligations. And despite being singled out in reports, of course, NATO says its treaty has no mechanism to suspend members. But why has Spain particularly become Trump's target?
Well, by different subjects in the last time. First of all, Trump has been putting NATO under pressure to raise their expenditure on defense, 5%, 3.5 plus 1.5 on infrastructure. And the Spaniards are sticking, because of internal reasons, to 2%, to the old figure put by Trump on the table some years in his first period. And therefore, the Americans are putting, let's say, pressure. And the Spaniards, second, are in a certain disagreement with the Americans about the use, about US bases in Spain for the war in Iran. But this has to do at the same time with a difference within the European allies about Iran, about the whole conflict in the Middle East, and this has been taken up since the beginning of a conflict with regard to Gaza, the Palestinians, now in Lebanon. The Spaniards are following, due to their internal structure, a much more critical policy towards Israel than the majority of the Europeans. And there is a certain problem of Spanish home policy, yes, but it's not the story where we should have put a question mark on NATO's Spanish accession or Spanish membership in NATO.
Well, thank you, sir, for your insights on this latest development. It is with time that we can see what the future of NATO will look like. Thank you for joining us.
With pleasure, as always.